Greetings, my name is Fretaws. Welcome back to another video of Cities Skylines, featuring the city of Las Cruces, of course. Winter is almost here, but sadly, it's nowhere to be found. Because honestly, the heat these days is incredible. It feels like summer. For those of you who don't know, the temperatures over here are ranging between the 28 to sometimes 33 Celsius, which in Fahrenheit, for those of you in the US, it's anywhere between 80 to 92 Fahrenheit degrees. I think that is correct. So if you're wondering about the lack of activity from my part, I think that is the answer, because I hate the heat and I just want to be laying down on the floor like a lizard, just laying down there. But instead of looking for the sun, I'm looking for the fresh parts of the house. I wish I could turn on the AC, but that would be quite expensive. Would be like 5 or 6 times more expensive than it is during summer times. But outside of me not wanting to play the game when it's so damn hot outside and inside the house as well, I think the series of Las Cruces, it's very close to ending. So I'm thinking about, well, I've been thinking about what else could I do, but I'm gonna talk about that later. I think the best thing to do right now would be to talk about what's going on in this video, in this time-lapse, of course. So the intro, you just saw the cinematic. It was actually going to be video number 21, which turned out to be really short. So I decided to play a little bit more and record more raw footage in order to make a more well-produced video instead of 1 minute 30, which is nothing bad. I like that. I like to show my time lapses that way, but I know some of you like to see the process, so I'm trying to combine cinematics, time-lapse cinematics with the process that you can see now, the process of creation. And I think the result, it's even better this way, because you can see the process, how it's created. And sometimes when there's really not much to show around because the camera will be moving too much otherwise, like planting trees and planting rocks, I think that making that as a cinematic time-lapse, I think that shows it better. Either way, that cinematic is the conclusion for the works in the coast in Las Cruces. I think I built all I wanted. The fancy looking marina with these fancy looking apartments, and then we got the hotel on this really small island, which kind of gives it like Burj Al Arab. Not really sure how it's pronounced in English, but I can tell you the name in Spanish. Burj Al Arab. Whatever, I don't know how it's pronounced. Then we got the more like downtown area, but it's more like a condensed business area. Whatever, what am I saying? It's a downtown area. And then if we go more to the beach, we got the Los Algodones. I wanted this area to look more European. That's why you see a lot of small houses and not high rises. There's also a lot of vegetation. As you can see, there was a lot of evergreens. I have this thing for evergreens. that can only be cured if I only plant more evergreens. I think I'm sidetracking a lot and not really talking about what's going on in the actual video. But I think we are at that point in the time-lapse where you can pretty much see all the different roads, well, the layout, and you can have the idea of where this is going. A viewer left this great idea in the comments about a botanical garden to preserve the well, natural fauna and flora of the desert, and I thought that was a great idea because I didn't actually thought about that before. I was using these botanical gardens you see that I place here and there, but they are really small. They have pretty much for like 20 kinds of plants and that's it. But it's more generic. So having an area that is actually dedicated into the preservation of the natural species of this region was a really cool idea, and so I thought, where can I place this? And it came to my mind. This island was perfect for it, even though before it was full of evergreens. It was kind of a shame to have to delete all of them, but it was in the name of preservation of these awesome looking saguaros and cacti and all these species you see in the desert. So I was actually looking for more variety in botanical gardens in the workshop, but there's really not a lot. The one you see on screen was pretty much the best I could get, and I've been using that ever since I started with this series. So instead of having just one building which would have all these species and then around it a small variety of them, I thought about building something more like the Desert Museum in Arizona, which it's a big park, a big reserve, and they have these roads where people can go. I'm not certain if you can go in car or just by foot, because I've never been there. I've only seen pictures, but they have all this reserved area where you can see with your own eyes the different varieties of plants, cacti, and they also have some examples of how could you use the natural or the plants of the region of your own gardens and make it look very good with that. So I was working around that idea. Instead of having just this big building, why not have all this island kind of like a themed park, but more about preservation. What I did get from the workshop are these awesome looking saguaros and cacti. You will see in a moment if you haven't seen them yet. I placed them all over the place. They look fantastic. They have flowers too, which is great. So that kind of kills the stigma that no flowers grow in the desert. Even the most thorny plants in the world have flowers, please. I also built some recreational areas for people who's tired. They can sit down for a moment, catch some breath and keep going, because the sun in the desert, it's really tough, and no matter who you are, you will need some shade here and there if you are taking a walk in places like this. I had a plan to do this on this whole area, but it was taking too much time. So I said, well, I'm just gonna have this done like a recreational area just outside of the botanical garden, and everything else is going to be pretty much a reserve, so people can walk around if they want. They can take a tour in a car if that's what they want, and pretty much enjoy the natural landscape. Everything else you see here, it's going to be desertic plants and rocks and awesome sand, and that's pretty much it. And then we got all the examples of gardens of what you could do with desertic plants right at the right beside the botanical gardens. As you can also see, this island is equipped with a train station area. It has this roundabout at the middle, so traffic can flow a little bit better. I didn't want it to have a lot of traffic incoming, so I decided to place just small buildings, similar to what I did on the Los Algodones beach, because small houses, while they are not big and expensive, they look pretty nice, and for the theme of this island, I think they fit really well. And I try to keep using the same plants that I was using for the reserve, for the botanical garden, saguaros, and I was also trying to avoid the use of palm trees. Well, you can see I use them here and there in the roads and main avenues, and maybe some houses have them, and I didn't want to use a lot of palm trees, relatively speaking, because I know there's a lot of palm trees in this island, but compared to the rest of the city, this is minimal. Anyways, the reason why is because palm trees are they are introduced in this ecosystem because they are heat tolerant, similar to lantanas and acacias and all these other heat tolerant plants. So it would have defeated the purpose of a natural reserve if I would have planted a bunch of palm trees in this area. Well, I kind of did, but I didn't do it on the actual reserve, so I think I can get away with that. So that's gonna be it. I think we are reaching the end of the video, and I don't know if I said this before, but we're also reaching the end of the year, and we're also reaching the end of this series, but there is a couple things I want to do with this city still, like I want to do a dramatic cinematic like for the end, and before I do that I want to build a small town. Not really sure why, but I kind of have that feeling that I want to do small things now. And I also almost forgot to mention that I built the observatorium, and you will see this in a cinematic really soon. So we can say that this video is pretty much 3-on-1. We got the observatorium done, we got the botanical garden or natural reserve done, we got the Los Algodones beach finally done, and like I said, I want to do something small now. Anyways, I'm running out of time, so that's gonna be it for today's video. Well, for this 2 weeks video, I'm gonna try to start uploading more frequently. And as the usual, thanks for watching. Until next time.